Hey everyone, welcome to World Talkers, our bi-weekly gossip sesh. What do we want to call this? Our
I think gossip sesh is perfect.
yeah, where we get together and we talk about all things World Walkers. My name is Pedro, the DM and creator of the World Walkers universe, and with me is Shannon.
I am the co-host of this show and also of another show called Gamers Table. If you want to check it out, we're at gamerstable.com or wherever you listen to podcasts, probably.
Probably. I like that openness of like, hey, I tried. And
Well,
then
I mean, like, I know we're not on Spotify, but we're on iTunes. I think we're on Stitcher, and I know we're on the Google Play or whatever the Google Podcast
the
is.
Googles. We're on the
Yeah.
Googles.
The Googles.
Yeah.
And then with us tonight as well is Sabin, Big Juice, Hawksley himself, Frank Galicia.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have anything cool to promote except for twitter.com/KAZALT378.
What happens there? What's the
hottest art, the hottest retweets.
the hottest retweets? No, you were just involved in some extra life work.
Oh yeah, I did Extra Life this year with my Final Fantasy 14 guild. We did Stardew Valley. I was awful at Dark Souls on live broadcast. So that was great.
Yeah.
Not really. It was embarrassing, but I was losing to shit I didn't have any reason to lose to.
Isn't that kind of the nature of Dark Souls, though?
Frankie prides himself on being better at Dark Souls than he was that day.
Yeah, I don't have trouble with the bell gargoyles, but there I was just jumping into their mouths and
we've all
sitting
been
on
there.
their tails. Yeah, it happens.
The bogger goggles.
Bell gargoyles.
Oh.
Same thing. Tomato.
Tomato. That's right.
Tomato, potato.
Yeah. But yeah, so thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to jump into a little bit of both podcasts, actually, World Walkers and World Walkers COG. And I think we're going to start off with World Walkers. We've also got some Patreon questions on deck. And then after that, we're going to jump into any questions that we have inside the live chat as well. And so because of the nature of some of the questions or some of the topics that came up in the World Walkers podcast itself, we thought that we'd have a nice crisscross with Frank tonight. I mean, obviously, Frank listens to the World Walkers podcast, but because of some of the events that have happened recently in the World Walkers podcast, we thought Frank, especially as Sabin, would have some interesting insight on there. But first, I felt bad because, Shannon, you missed out on the last World Talkers, and
Yes.
there was a lot of haps, as we pretend to say in the business, with Ertlebee. So going back to some of the things that happened with Ertlebee, Darklebee, is there anything that you wanted to tag along with on that from the last session?
So I did listen to the last World Talkers, so like
Yeah.
I'm kind of caught up. I got to hear kind of some of that. It was just so crazy. Like I hate to be like one of those people who it's like I had a suspicion. I didn't have a suspicion. I didn't think something was up with Ertlebee, but at the same time, I was like, oh, Olivia decided to play this differently now. So, and I just thought it was like a character choice or whatever. And then it's like, oh no, she's been possessed this whole time. Okay.
Same. I had no idea. I must have just put it out of my mind that Ertlebee got body snatched.
Yeah. Well, and like the second that we knew, I was like, I knew exactly where it happened. I'm like, okay, this is where it happened. I'm sure of it. And
Yeah.
it was.
And it was.
Yeah. One of my questions was like, how much of what real, quote unquote, real Ertlebee went through did you discuss, and how much of it was just like Olivia improving, being like, I'm gonna be a new Ertlebee because the nightmare world is terrible?
Viewers might see my screen switch because I just realized Discord's open. So I'm going to try to do this elegantly, but it might steal the screen. Let's see what happens. Sorry, guys. Second. One second. And I'm very sorry. Very unprofessional. Okay. How much we planned ahead of time? I think I just kind of dropped it on her and said, "Here's what's happening," and she was really excited to kind of jump on in and be like, "Oh, this is gonna be really fun. Here we go," and she just kind of ran with it. I didn't really give her any instruction. Yeah, she just decided to run with it, and she kind of decided to just kind of like tease them with it. And I thought she was just gonna play it as is, because I mean, Frank, Frank's played in several games where we've done body snatch or like doppelganger replacements, and at times what I've done is like if someone's been doppelganger replaced, I haven't even told the player.
Yeah.
Because the doppelganger would know. Like we've had the doppelganger like basically duplicate the memories, and there's no reason to tell the player. They're playing it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for this, I told her what was up, and she was like, "Okay, cool." And I said, "Just do what you're doing." She's like, "Perfect."
I think
she went all in.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on like the type of player, like who you can tell you've been body snatched and who you can't.
Yeah.
And I think she did a great job, because like it was obvious enough where like you can pick up on, oh, something's changed, but not obvious enough to be like, oh, she's obviously playing a different character.
I didn't anticipate her sabotaging the effectiveness of the group. Like I told her, like, yeah, so just so you know, this is what's happening. And she's like, all right, cool. And then she just stopped fighting.
Yeah, that was great.
I was like, oh, I thought we were all in the like,
Yeah. And then I think Jane might have said it in the last World Talkers, like it kind of worked out perfect timing because she had just lost her gun, so it makes sense that she's kind of at a loss, but she's also a druid, and like going from a gamer's point of view, it's like she's a druid, she has so many things you can do.
Well, I think there was something that was unspoken about the last time is that a lot of it works out because of this. There's there's an unspoken perfect storm, and it's this. A lot of our listeners, I think, many of our listeners at least, don't play D&D. Don't seem to play D&D. Pretty new to D&D. Not all, but a lot of our listeners either don't play D&D or are not what you would call min-maxers.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the perfect storm. On top of that, what really helps is that most of the players all of our players either A, have never played D&D, or B, don't play 5th edition D&D. Right?
Or C, forget what's on their character sheet on a regular basis.
So
sorry.
No,
you're good.
Those two major ingredients created this. Oh, and then C, actually, on top of that, the players have effectively no interaction with the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
These three ingredients created the perfect storm of this, and that is druids are wildly effective in D&D. Insanely effective. In other fan bases, if a druid is like say like I think in Critical Role, the druid is wildly regarded as crazy powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Almost held with disdain, I think, in some subsections of the fan base and certain other actual plays, right? In any other fan base, in any other scene, in any other table, if the druid had suddenly become wildly ineffective, they'd have been called out like, why aren't you doing anything? The vast, the wide range of shapes you could be taking, the wide amount of spells you could be casting. This is uncalled for. But because the players don't know what the druid can do, because I think a lot of our listeners are either very forgiving or unaware of how powerful druids are, and because the players wouldn't even see if the listeners were calling them out anyway, and because the gap in our play is so wide, it's the perfect crime.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way Ertlebee could have ever been caught.
Yeah. I also
she's goddamn Kaiser Sose of fucking ineffective druids. Like, she gets out and just straightens her limp and just walks into the car. Spoilers.
Yes, double spoilers. Spoilers for this, and also I hope you're not watching if you haven't listened to that.
I put it in the I put it in the tags that we're talking about. It's too late. It's too late.
I did like, it seemed like it kind of got brushed over, but at the beginning of episode 32, Wes kind of quietly says Rebirthlebee. And
Rebirthlebee.
Nobody laughs at it. I'm like, that's the greatest name ever.
Yeah. Wes makes so many jokes per minute that I feel like eventually he can't get all the laughs.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, that's what I think. I think there's so many ingredients in that storm.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Well, and even like I said, like I play D&D, like I know how effective druids can be, and like I didn't really think twice. Like, I mean, I kind of thought like that's weird, but
and the final ingredient of Olivia just being a goober.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and like I also like to play that way. Like I love finding other things to do in fights other than fight. Like that's just a thing I like to do, and it's like Olivia has obviously kind of done that some in the past, but like never to this extreme, and I'm like, maybe she's just mad her gun got destroyed.
Yeah. Any thoughts from you, Frank?
I think I'm just going to echo.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I all I can do is echo. I'm just sitting here nodding on, yep. Eyes flare up like, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can say is that I agree that Wes is absolutely hilarious, and that dude has me rolling like 30 frames per second.
Crisp HD. So that leads to the next topic that I wanted to bring up, which is after that, we see that Ertlebee has she's gone through some shit, I think is fair to say.
Yeah.
Right. I think she's very much working on her brand, she says at one point, because she's lost the hat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she talks about that and yeah, Johnny, we're getting to that, don't worry. Johnny says, I can't believe Tompkins has a gun. So we're gonna get to that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ertlebee has seen some shit, right? And after what Ertlebee's been through, she seems to not want to fuck around anymore. And that leads to her having a conversation. Well, it starts with when they're going back and forth, there's all these firearms laying around. And there's something, a lot of the group likes to rail on Tompkins for being ineffective. And
Haters.
so haters, you say?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
You seem to have a chip on your shoulder.
Just a bit. That's my dude.
Yeah.
And they're just constantly using him as a scapegoat.
As a player, have you interacted with Tompkins before? Because you've been playing in.
Not that I'm aware of. If I've met Tompkins, I couldn't tell you if I have or not. Like, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that like Tompkins is one of my character's father or something like that. Like Tompkins is gonna be there. Tompkins is gonna be there, like arm mangled, face full of want, and just like I never tried to tell. And the painter's gonna roll a d20. Larg that he's my son.
No. Another group has met Tompkins once. There was a group that played in COG, and they met Tompkins while he was waiting for the group to come back in COG when they left him in the shop.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was working in the Morty's shop. Morty's shop?
Yeah.
Morty's shop. I forget what her Ertlebee's son's called. Morty or Marty? Morty, yeah. Yeah, he was working in the shop, and they had rolled through town while they were waiting for the World Walkers to come back and pick him up.
Yeah, he was so pissed. Yeah. I remember that. I remember when they got reunited with Tomkins. He was like, "You just left me."
Yeah, so they had met him while they were wandering around Follis. But
this is a little bit of a side tangent, but I do love how like the World Walkers Prime group treats Tompkins versus how the COG group treats Haversack, because they're just like, yeah, come on, join our group, little buddy. Oh, you wanna make tents out of human flesh? That's fine by me. You can still hang with us.
Far be it for me to tell a man how to live.
Yeah, versus Tompkins, who has done no wrong. And they're just like, fuck you, Tompkins.
Tompkins could burp in his sleep and like, this fucking kid.
Right.
But yeah, so when Ertlebee comes back, she has seen some shit, and when Tompkins brings up that like there's plenty of firearms to go around, basically, Ertlebee says screw it. And despite what the Gunslingers Creed says, she's willing to pass out some firearms. She's got plenty to spare, and she throws them their way, and it causes a little bit of a rift. So before we move on to the tin side of the discussion, I'm wondering, what do you guys think of Ertlebee's casual abandonment of the Creed? I wanted to start with Shannon. Like, what did you think when they hit that moment?
I thought it was such a great character moment because, like, you know, you have this whole class background.
Background.
You have this whole background that's like about this oath, and like they've encountered, like, there have been several points of the story already where it's kind of like the oath is serious shit. We're taking this seriously. Like, maybe some changes need to be made to it, but at the same time, like, we take it very seriously, both Ertlebee and Ten. And then just for her to drop it, like, that kind of like goes to show like how much shit she's been through. It's like, oh man, wherever she was at, that was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Frank? When like with Ertlebee specifically, when that happened, did you feel like
it was a bit too easy? It was a bit too easy for her, man. That's Benjamin Manley is her master. He didn't teach her that way. To slap in the face to Mr. Manley.
Mr. Manley.
Mr. Manley.
Is some of that tainted by both your experience throughout the games and you playing a gunslinger, or is that just pure Frank?
Both, and it's all three. It's the trifecta.
The trifecta.
The Sabin, the Frank, and the Holy Spirit.
Oh my gosh! Hey, Callie's here.
What up, Callie?
I was kind of curious, like how the gunslinger masters work. Do they only take on one student, or like
Multiple. They
multiple?
there's no like it's not like Jedi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because I knew, like, gunslingers, they're very limited. Like, they keep their secrets secret. So I didn't know if it was just like one student per master. And like, as far as like your GMing goes, like, it's like, okay, we're down to 2 gunslingers. So if 3 people want to take a gunslinger, they're out of luck.
No. There's no hard limits like that. It's up to the masters and what they want to take on, but no, there's no like numerical limits like that. So
and then one of the other questions I had, which has kind of been asked in the podcast, it's so now that Nina's dead and she kind of chose Tin as her successor, like she gave her gun. Is Tin a master now? And especially since she's taking students, like, are the other masters going to be like, okay, Tin, you need to be killed because you took on students?
Right. So that's something like, yeah, I want to get into that. But the question of is she a master is a big one, because like she's not necessarily a master. I mean, it's interesting because like Vasa feels like she is. Vasa says in the podcast, she's like, well, you're basically a master. Because Nina died, so now you're a master. But no, I don't think that she's necessarily just a master because Nina died. Nina had other students as well, and it's something that's come up in other games is like, I think several gunslingers throughout, ever since Nina's died, several gunslingers have wondered if they're going to be the next master. Like, for instance, there's a gunslinger on COG named Connor, who is played by Brian from the Underfold.
I thought you were gonna say there is a gunslinger on COG named Big Juice.
There is a Big Juice on COG.
But like last time we saw him, he was dipping into the arcane arts, and he was wondering if he was going to I think he was kind of wondering if he was going to walk into those shoes. And the difference between Tin and Connor, for instance, is that Connor's still on COG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
But what?
Sorry. I was just gonna say, so Callie asked, how does one become a master?
There's no protocol. Like, well, essentially that, one would assume that the other masters would have a say.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You'd be hard pressed to just step up and say, no, I'm a master, and hope that the other masters would just go like, yeah, all right, cool, man. That seems legit. If Tin expects to become a master, one would hope that she would present herself to the other masters and, have a discussion. If, like, is Tin going to roam the worlds as a world walker and call herself like a master? Like, she could claim herself as like a roaming master. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if Tin calls herself a master and takes on students and isn't on COG, nothing to stop her, I suppose. But whether the other masters would ever recognize her as one, that's an entirely different question. One thing that has yet to kind of be understood is that, like, the few people that have seen a master at work have seen that the masters seem to be in like a completely different league. Like,
yeah,
when Benjamin Manley showed up back in the World Walkers, like when he showed up to help the World Walkers, he executed the Brotherhood of Iron in like just a wild fashion. Just like shot after shot was masterfully fired, and he laid waste. There was a group called the Furious Funks. That
I've heard of them.
Yeah, that ran through COG as well, and they ran into one of the masters, Gideon. Gideon is a doppelganger, and when they ran into Gideon, when Gideon had to stand up against and protect the Furious Funks, a doppelganger, for those that don't know, can shapeshift into a different person. Gideon shapeshifted into dozens of people at once and kind of took the entire port district of Kosnik.
It was tight.
Yeah. The Masters are like in a completely different
And
so level
yeah.
20.
yeah.
Well, at least
Every time Esam is seen, that's Sabin's master. Whenever Esam draws his weapon, it's said that he remakes the area in his own image, like he levels cities. So like, and it's rare that Esam ever brings himself into battle anymore. So like, the masters seem to be in such a wildly different league that like it would be very difficult for Tin to claim the status of master without just calling herself a master and taking on students and walking around. You know what I mean? So she
Right.
can call herself a master, and she takes on students, and they call her master. But whether she'll be accepted as a master if she ever returns to COG is a completely different story.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But yeah, so that kind of leads back to what did you guys think of her treatment of Tompkins then? Because like Tompkins was the one that brought it up, and I think like I kind of want to bring up this discussion of what do you guys think of Tompkins' treatment of the Gunslingers creed and his understanding of it and firearms? Like, do you think that he's out of line? Do you think that, yeah, like where do you fall on Tompkins? Is he just being a little brat? Is he being a little kid about it? Like, or yeah, pro Tompkins, anti Tompkins on this whole situation?
who wants to go first?
I'm a little bit of both. So like from a story perspective and from a viewer perspective, like I'm pro Tompkins, but if I were playing in that game, like if I were playing 10, I would be anti Tompkins.
Yeah.
Even though if I were playing in that game up until this point, I would be pro Tompkins. But yeah, like I think 10 had every right to say what she did. I think 10 probably should have been more firm with Tompkins. I don't think she should have agreed to teach them. I think she should have told both Tompkins and Brummel Stone no, but like
Yeah.
it sounded like it's hard for Megan as a player to like be like, no, sorry, Wes, you've been wanting to take Gunslinger as a background forever. I'm not gonna let you do that.
Yeah.
Look, Tin was out of line. Tin was out of several lines. She wasn't even, if this was a rolled piece of paper, she was drawing in the margins.
Really?
All Tompkins was doing is like, hey, I got some questions. He's a new student, and this is how she chooses to treat him. She just treat him like an old tomato.
Oh.
Just
I was saying like before that like I don't think she should have accepted him as a student because like the gunslinger oath is pretty clear about that. Like
yes, absolutely.
that's why I was surprised when you were like 10's out of line. I'm like, really? You play
Ertlebee was out of line. They're all out of line. They need to be they need to be reshaped.
Get your shit together, World Walkers.
You can't just hand over a gun. Like even in real life, that's irresponsible. And when it's like when dice are involved, it's even worse. It's a campaign setting. More is at stake. My enjoyment's at stake. The World Walker's actions potentially affect multiple fake worlds that I live in. Look, Ertlebee messed up. She shouldn't have decided that she wasn't a gunslinger anymore. But Tin, even if we divorce ourselves from that, Tomkins is just trying to ask like, hey, how do we make bullets? How do we do this? He's just full of questions, and it's like, I will take your fucking gun from you, Tompkins, if you breathe one more ounce of oxygen in my presence. It was completely uncalled for, and they're valid questions. Like Tompkins, like, hey, I'm not a good shot. Maybe we should work on getting bullets. This kid.
I mean, she did agree with that. She's like, you're right. I'm gonna take this until I can train you properly.
And I agree, but I think that like their hate for Tompkins just like they don't like Tompkins. Him being an apprentice just gives them another more leeway to crush him underfoot.
I will agree with you partially. I did not like that she because she took Brummel Stone aside and had a heart-to-heart with Brummel Stone about being a student, and she didn't do the same with Tompkins. I was like, what the crap?
Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm saying. And I'm biased. I love me some Tompkins. So
our show needs a new name. It's World Talkers. We love Tompkins.
Hell yes, absolutely. I love Tompkins so much, and they just poop on him.
Yeah.
And whether or not they have a good reason to, I don't know. It's like spanking your kid doesn't really help. Spanking Tompkins is going to make him not miss.
Yeah.
Spanking's not going to improve his 2-hit.
It's not gonna raise his base attack bonus.
Exactly.
Over in the comments, we've got Callie mentioning, she says, the gunslinger masters recognize you have Nina's gun. We do not recognize that you're a master.
Exactly. Exactly.
He says, I think she's talking about Gideon. I'm very biased towards Gideon. They're a badass. Johnny says, Tompkins is being a man-child. I'm so worried for anyone in his line of sight. And then Johnny says, Frank, Tin is right about Tompkins. I swear someone's going to have to roll a new character soon. And then Johnny says, well, Brummel Stone is, smarter than Tompkins.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Tompkins, no, not dissing Wes or Brummel Stone at all. Just Tompkins knows more than he lets on. It's very clear at this juncture that Tompkins knows a lot more than he lets on, and also he has the experience of thousands.
Well, it's something that he brings up is the idea that what do you guys think about his argument that magic anyone can learn, but the gunslingers treat firearms as a sacred right. Nobody could learn firearms.
But even we just learned in COG, even learning magic, it's only specific people can learn magic. They're very.
And that's Tompkins' argument. That's what's really hard for Tompkins is he knows that on any other world, it's COG that treats knowledge as a sacred right that only some people can learn. Yeah. On any other world, knowledge is out there. I think that's Tompkins' point of view that he tries to get across. Maybe he doesn't argue it very well.
Right. Well, and that's where, because I had said I'm kind of
knowledge is hoarded on COG, but not on other worlds.
Right, and that's why I said I'm kind of pro Tompkins and kind of against Tompkins. I'm pro Tompkins as a viewer because I agree with that. Knowledge is hoarded on COG, and that's not how it should be. But I was anti-Tompkins in that, you're going against a character's, or you're trying to pick at a character's core beliefs. Yeah. And that's why I think Tin should have laid the smack down harder than she did. Not meaner, just said, no, I'm not teaching you. No, you can't use that. I'll take these extra guns.
Yeah. Yeah, I think an interesting point because it's like, yeah, because like if I understand it right, you're saying, shouldn't have broke the creed at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm with that.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
yeah, yeah. Which leads to the next thing I wanted to bring up is yeah, the discussion of whether or not Tin should have broke the creed at all. Because in the creed, if you break the creed, you are one of the broken. That's what they call people who break themselves from the creed. And because eventually so far in the podcast what it sounds like is Tompkins doesn't have a gun. Like she sounds like she like at first it seems like she's like we'll discuss it later, but as far as we can tell right now she's not. It seems like she's not going to teach Tompkins. She takes the gun from him, but she's like we'll teach you when we can make bullets. They can't make bullets.
It sounds like the biggest part of where Tin broke the creed actually is
taking Brummel Stone.
Well, no, not killing Ertlebee.
Oh, and that too. That's actually good point. First and foremost, she broke the creed the moment she didn't kill Ertlebee.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's where she broke the creed. Everything on there has just been, or since then, has been a slippery slope.
Yeah. But then, so moving on to the idea, that's first and foremost. She's supposed to hunt down Ertlebee. She doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Once she does that, she's one of the broken. But then taking on Brummel Stone. So how do you guys feel about that? Like now that she's become one of the broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
But taking on Brummel Stone is one of the students. So one of the things I wanted to bring up is it reveals one of my biases is that one of the problems I have with 5th edition is how wildly effective everything but wizard is.
Right.
Because it's one of the problems that Wesley has. It's one of the reasons for those that don't know why he wanted to switch out a wizard. He did not enjoy playing wizard because he was like, I take like a 4th level spell, pour everything into it, and then I look to the side and everybody else is just like and like Johnny says here, in Guns versus Magic, Guns wins 8 times out of 10 because most Magic takes time to cast. One shot could end a fight fast. Like essentially like he Wesley like in some of our after game talks he would just laugh at the idea that like he would try so hard. He called himself the softener, and Megan would gleefully call herself the finisher, and that happened in like episode 3.
I don't know how into it you want to get, like how into like game mechanics and stuff like that, but like
briefly but
yeah, I think like that's because I've even mentioned on this show, on every show I'm on, I like to talk about how I don't like D&D 5th edition that much. And Spellcasters is one of the main problems I have with it because every class has magical abilities now, just about. Like
every class has the option of it. Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you can take that path.
And so like it really makes taking different casters, like taking a wizard or a sorcerer, is kind of useless. Like the warlock is good because you get that eldritch blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it kind of like it was like, oh, in all the older versions of D&D, like wizards were super awesome at the end game and sucked at the beginning, and we're just going to change it so now wizards are only good for the first 3 levels and then after that they suck.
Yeah, he has, well, I think even now they still like the fireball is really good ish, kind of, not really. They have
Fireball's
a real hard,
okay.
What?
Fireball's okay.
It's okay. But yeah, he had a real hard time with it, so he asked if he could switch classes.
And it's also very limited. So like talking about like damage outputs, like sneak attack from a rogue is always, I don't know what level you guys are, but it's always going to do like 5d6 or whatever.
7 at the time of the podcast, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, I also don't know what the sneak attack dice is at 7. I think it's about 5.
It's, I think, 4 or 5d6, yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
like she's always getting to roll a d8 plus 5d6 just
Yeah.
about every roll.
Mhm.
Whereas like you have like the one big hit spell and you get to use it like maybe 3 times and then that's it.
Well, and even then he doesn't, like, he had a real big problem with it because, like, fireball, if he was lucky, and it would be 8d6, save for half. Most people make their save. He would hurt people around him unless he was an evocationist, which he was. Or what? I can't remember now. I can't remember if he was or not.
I
But,
think he was able to.
Yeah, I think he was. He was at the time. But yeah, and most other classes had better options. Like if you were a cleric and you threw guiding bolt, that was an amazing spell. Like,
Mhm.
if you hit somebody, you got like, it was like 4d6, and then you gave people advantage on their attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, warlocks like have like their spells, like if you get it's a melee weapon, it's 4d8, I think, or 46 or 48. If it's dim light, they get advantage with it. They get to attack. Yeah.
So sorry, the cool thing with warlocks, I said Eldritch Blast, I meant Hellish Rebuke.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like Johnny said, Brummel Stone was a very nice choice in the student because in episode 28, Brummel Stone switched bodies with Tin, and he is actually really good with the gun. He's making some smart little choices.
Yeah.
Like, he was having a blast. He loved it. Yeah. So, Frankie, what did you think of taking Brummel Stone as a student?
Bad call.
Bad call.
She's not a master.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, if they're so hard up on bullets, don't hand out the bullets to people who can't. Don't hand out the guns to people who can't shoot.
Yeah, because it takes the bullets away from Ertlebee.
Right. Or F that, like from Tin, who is supposed to be good at shooting.
Well, no, she doesn't need bullets though.
Oh, her gun just produces it.
Yeah, it's infinite bullets.
Well, you know what?
Is that how Ertlebee's original gun was?
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. I didn't really keep track of their ammo until they got off world. Like once they hit Rolanus, it was like, yeah.
Now we're keeping track.
Well, Ertlebee broke the oath, so she doesn't get a gun. That's just the way it works. I didn't make the rules.
Yeah. And then yeah, we kind of covered this already, but is she? So final answer, Shannon. Is she a master?
I'm gonna have to side with the GM here. No, she's not.
Do you feel she's ready to start at least, if not be a master, start to become a master?
I think that she's ready. I think she's ready to take on students. If the only way to take on students is to be a master, then I guess she's ready to start that path. But it doesn't sound like she's badass enough to be a master.
How does Frank feel? She a master?
Hell no.
Is she ready to start becoming a master?
No.
Now, the big question I wanted to ask you is, how would Sabin feel about all this?
Maybe cool and collected, and it would just be another job. You just have, oh, okay, and just it's like making a decision to eat breakfast in the morning. Of course, you're gonna eat breakfast in the morning. Of course, you're gonna hunt down the the broken. Of course, you're gonna hunt down the fake master.
I was about to ask. So, if you, there's been talk of like the crossover episode. If that ever happened, are Ertlebee and Tin in big trouble if they're not dead?
Oh yeah,
episode because they might be dead.
Oh, yeah. If the tower doesn't kill him, Sabin is.
Which I think is interesting because, like in a comic book crossover, right? You have Batman and Superman meet, and then you contrive a reason why they have to team up.
Mm-hmm.
What I find interesting is that we've asked the World Walkers, right? And several of the World Walkers were like, character first. I hope we don't do a crossover because
I know.
we wouldn't be able to play with them.
Yeah, I know. Jane said in the last World Tuckers that she would be suspicious, and she would like be not necessarily. I don't know if she said antagonistic, but like,
she wouldn't be able to think of a reason to play. Like Vasa wouldn't want to team up with them, and it would end badly. And it's funny because like on the other side of the table, there's no. It's like Independence Day, right? No peace. Like there's.
Yeah.
I think the only way that
I don't
World
think we
Wonders
could come up
try
with a reason for Frankie, for instance, to go like
not to kill.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Callie asked in the chat.
I was gonna say
which kind of leads into maybe a possibility of the crossover happening is does the creed still count if it's off world?
Yeah. It's like saying it's not cheating if it's a different area code.
Well, also I wouldn't say it's exactly equivalent to that, because like the people who created the oaths didn't know about other worlds, unless I'm wrong about that.
Right. It's that's fair to assume, but it's fair to assume, and I mean, short of like having a council meeting or some shit, like they'd have to convene together and talk about it.
Yeah.
Especially sorry, I cut you off.
No, there would have to be some kind of some meeting to talk about it. So without revealing too much about the masters, they'd have to talk about it. They might then come to some kind of conclusion, like, well, and then you'd have to get into like, it would come down to, do the masters think that their secrets are too dangerous for COG or for other worlds?
Right. Whenever, that's kind of the thread of thought that I was going with when I almost.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Myself. Yeah, because it's like, that's another thing. Like when all of this is said and done, like Brummel Stone is probably going back to Obrimos. He might go to COG because that's where Claiborne is, but like, he's from Obrimos. Like he has no reason not to return. Like take Claiborne and return there.
Yeah.
Especially if like, the masters might end up deciding like, it's fine that you taught these people this, but they're not allowed on COG anymore. Like they're exiles.
Well, like one argument that would probably come up, or that could be made, is this: if the people you taught this to made the argument of what's the big deal, then they obviously don't respect the creed enough to not want to teach it to people on their world.
Yeah.
And then, like, you're going to take something that we obviously think is dangerous, and who knows how far you're going to spread this on their world.
Which kind of goes well with like what Tin kind of didn't explicitly decide, but kind of decided, of teaching Brummel Stone, who realizes that it's a big deal, versus not teaching Tompkins, who's just like, well, Brummel Stone would give me a scroll.
Yeah. And I think like one thing that is implicit in the Gunslingers, the reason why, I think it might have come up in a previous episode, but the reason why the Gunslingers believe this to be so important is that in order for you to learn a scroll, in order for you to use a scroll, you pick up a scroll, right? You have to then dedicate yourself 2 years of practice and technique. If you want to use a firearm, you just have to pick it up and squeeze the trigger.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why they won't teach anybody the secrets of firearms. That to them, that's the difference between magic and firearms. Once firearms are widespread on COG, it's a whole different world.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how widespread magic is. Nobody can pick up a scroll. Nobody can pick up a spell book and suddenly bring a meteor swarm down on your neighbor's house. That's the nuance that Tompkins doesn't get.
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's the thing that the gunslingers, that's their big hitch. It's what the gnomes really wrestled with too. Like when they saw how fast they could bring destruction by spreading this, it terrified them. So, which leads us into our next series of topics. If you guys are ready to move on,
Yeah.
Oh no, actually, I guess we can talk too. Did you guys want to talk about the 6th floor of Ozen Tower?
I did have. So there wasn't. I didn't put these. I put some of them in like the GM section of our little document, but I did have a couple of questions about it, which you said last door. Was that a slip or is that a clue?
What?
Whenever they were entering that room, you called it the last door, and then you corrected yourself, and so I was like, was that a slip or was that a clue?
For what? No.
When they were entering the Chrono Elementals chamber.
Call it the last door?
Yeah. I think it was an accident. I think it was a slip.
Must have been an accident.
No. Must have been an accident because there's like 20 more levels of this.
Yeah. Oh, good catch. That was an accident.
Yeah.
When did I call it the last door?
Before they entered. It was in episode 32.
Interesting. Yeah. No, that's an accident.
Yeah, you said last door, and then you like corrected yourself and said this door.
Huh.
And I was just like, that's interesting. I wonder.
No, sorry.
Oh man.
Yeah. No.
I've actually enjoyed the tower. I know that like a lot of people seem to be like, oh man, will this ever end? I'm like, no, this is awesome. We're getting to the core of these characters.
Yeah, no, I think I think people have said it in a joking fashion, but I haven't had anyone earnestly ask me like in a like, Jesus Christ, will this ever end? They've been like, oh my God, like this is getting crazy. Like only the World Walkers have asked me, will this ever end? Yeah.
And that's fair because, you know, they're going through it.
Yeah, because they haven't been able to use Pass Without Trace yet, so. I mean, for real, they that's their jam. Like,
yeah, they maybe could have done it in this floor, but I don't know if that would have even worked.
But
I guess the Chrono Elemental. Sorry, I had to switch to my next episode notes that are gibberish, basically. I wanted to know more about the Chrono Elemental. Like, is that something you have in like all of your games? Have other people, Frank, have you ever encountered this before?
I don't think I've fought a Chrono Elemental. Peter likes to just throw all
you
the
guys talk. I've been wondering if I made it up or if I got it from the Tome of Beast. You guys keep talking. I'm gonna check.
Okay, Frank, tell me about it.
I don't think Peter's ever thrown a Chrono Elemental at me before. Peter just likes to, when he throws like scary elementals, he'll just have an Omni Elemental hit me. Mm-hmm. Either in there's an Omni Elemental in not Menroth. Well, there is one in Menroth, but in Brummel Stone's world.
Abremos.
We've tried to take it out before, and we didn't. Kind of just tore right through us, Captain Planet style.
Ooh, what?
I was talking about like Peter. I said we've never fought a Chrono Elemental as far as I know, but we did fight Peter. Usually, when Peter throws scary elementals at us, he just throws Omni Elementals at us.
Oh yeah,
like the one on Obremos.
Yeah, he's still there. Galvanix.
Yeah, I know. Huh?
Galvanix.
Is that his name? I forgot it. I forgot it. I tried forgetting it.
He's there, surrounded by the bodies of your dead adventuring party.
Yeah. Inside like the wind elemental section is just twirling skeleton. just shouting.
There he is, the Chronomental. Yeah, I got this from the Tome of Beast. Tome of Beast is one of the best books I ever bought. I'm not trying to plug them because they could pay me. It's just the monster manual is kind of half shit. From D&D. Toma Beast from Kobold Press. Makes the game infinitely better. If you guys want to know what the Chronomento looks like on Ozen Tower, it looks like this.
Little pull back a little bit and let the light hit it more.
Trying. I can't see it though when I do it.
Oh, now we're on a completely different page.
Kind of hard to see, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's really hard to see.
Yeah. Can't really see it too well.
It is not much. It's just like fire and like blackened.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, now I can see it really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the light of the camera just like switched, so it's like, oh yeah, now it works.
Oh, horror. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I made it legendary.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's the big difference.
That was going to be the next question. Are they supposed to beat the Chrono Elemental, or are they supposed to get around it? And it sounds like maybe the answer is get around it.
No, they're supposed to beat it. They're supposed to fight it smarter, but they're supposed to beat it. It's not my fault they went into one timeline and then drug it back.
Yeah.
That was not my intention.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to ask you about, like the 3 different portals. I didn't know if like that was part of it, like they were.
No, that was me. That was me.
Yeah, so that was just like a complete red herring. Like, here, have this temptation that's going to make everything more difficult. Versus,
No, it's just an element of the fight. So like I added that in, and the idea is that like I gave it. I added abilities to it. So let me double check.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what's wrong, Frank?
I just love having two extra chrono elementals in a fight, which is, I'm sure it's a lot of fun.
Is
about to be 3, really.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
I mean, it's it's how they play it, I guess.
Oh yeah, we'll expect the worst then.
What's fun is that I use this app for my game, and so I have I don't know if you guys can see it or not. I have every single fight. Okay, you can kind of see it. Well, good, you can't read it, so you can't. No spoilers. But this is every single fight they've ever been in.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, every single fight and what happened in it. So here is. Ooh, can't show you that actually. Yeah, I actually can never show you these now until a certain point.
Really?
Yeah. So, let me go into the Chronomental. Where is he? Okay, so I had forgotten. I love this fight so much. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I changed it up too, because originally the way they wrote it in the book was that you have to pass a save or you're banished essentially for 1 minute.
Wow.
And you get to make a save every round to see if you get to come back. And I rewrote it so you end up in one of the portals that I created, and you don't get a save.
And then Enzo just went into a portal freely.
They started fucking deciding to go into portals. Yeah, that was different. Which was fine because they could have just gone into like, yeah. The idea is that but
so one of my questions was also like how you were handling time travel, because like having the portals also left you open to like all sorts of time travel tomfoolery. And so I was wondering how you would handle time travel in the game. Like you've already sort of dealt with time travel with the travelers.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a more immediate, more affects everybody. So like what if they had all gone into the past portal and killed the chrono elemental there?
Yeah. Well, that's the tactics of the fight. And I mean, it's still something that could possibly happen because the fight's not over yet, but that's kind of the tactics they're trying to deal with. And that's something that, it's something that I'm trying to highlight. There's a moment in the fight where, Jane says, can I use my insight as essentially as a time traveler?
Mm-hmm.
She says, "Is there can I use my insight as a time traveler to gain insight into this fight?" Right.
Right.
And I say, "I'll give you that insight when it's thematically appropriate." Right.
Right.
And I use the music, "Heavy Heart" from the Travelers episode. I play that when I say that. Right. Did you guys notice that?
No.
I actually haven't had a chance to listen to the travel.
But did you notice the music changed in the episode? It was like boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Boom,
Yeah.
Because
boom, 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 boom. Yeah, the music changes to like this kind of slow, almost harpy music, I think.
Yeah, and it's pretty different in tone. Like
very different in tone
from everything else. I noticed that, but I didn't know it was from the Travelers because I haven't listened to it.
I change the music when I say that. Then the music changes. Then in the middle of the episode, the music stops and it plays the harp music again.
Oh.
And Jane says, "Everyone listen to me. Don't fight the one from the future."
Mm-hmm.
And the harp music comes back in. And she says, "Only fight the one in the present. If we fight the one in the present, will automatically defeat the one in the future."
Oh, yeah.
And the music plays again.
And then someone else in the group immediately discredits it and says, "You're
Brummel
wrong."
Stone, the fucking time expert, goes, "Or that's not true."
Right.
I sent Jane the message and told her that insight.
I just it's funny to me because Brummel Stone lost his entire village to that happening, basically. And then he's like, "No, Jane, you're wrong." Or, "No, Vasa, you're wrong about this." Which, yeah, it's very...
Yeah, and then at the end of the music, at the another music trivia moment, if you guys want it, is that at the end of the episode, Jane tells Tompkins, she gives him the crystal, and she tells him to not let anyone die. And I played Tompkins music during that moment because that's always Tompkins emotional. That's Tompkins emotional music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I play that. That's a Tompkins song, but I play it for Vasa, as she tells him, don't let anything happen to the group. She runs off.
I love that this is effectively the third time that Vasa has been like, "I'm dying in this tower." She just surrenders herself completely to the idea, especially since in A Different World Talkers, you had talked about how Jane is and how she's like, "I'm Vasa and that's it."
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think she stays very true to her character and doing that and being like, "I'll die for these people."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, that music is from the Travelers. And it's called Heavy Heart.
That changes everything.
I'm working on a blog that's called the Music of World Walker, where I'm trying to explain all of the musical cues of the world. Not all of them. I don't think I can do all that, but I'm trying to explain all the big musical cues of the world.
I love them, and a lot of times I don't pick up on them necessarily, or like I kind of do, like I did with this. It's like there was a very different tone change. But like, I don't tie it back to like an episode from a year ago that I didn't listen to. But
my big thought is like, I know it's crazy, but I hope that someday somebody like binges the episodes and then goes, "Oh fuck." Okay. Like I know no one's gonna get it like months later.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you do it. Like I love everything you're doing with the music in this. I think I've already said that before on.
When the time portals open, those are the sound effects from Tremessa. When Jane gets hit and gets teleported, when she gets teleported away back in episode 10.
That's the same sound effect.
I'm pretty sure. I try to get it as close as possible.
That's awesome. See, and I like the little things like this. Actually, on the last World Talkers, you mentioned something about the doors. And so like I went back. I actually started listening to the episodes again from episode 1. Wow. I only made it to episode 2. I just started that today. I just started it today. Come on. You got to give me time.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, like it's just kind of interesting how there's so many little things that you've done.
I'm trying. I'm not perfect, but
I want to know all the Easter eggs, so I want this vlog.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while, but
yeah. So I did have another very important question from episode 33. Did you ever watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I did. I didn't like it.
Oh no!
Really?
It was really like slow and boring and dry. Like, it's like here's my secret. When things are really like badly produced, then I don't like it. I think Frankie and I were talking about this. They're trying to they're doing World of Warcraft Classic, like WoW Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're bringing back the shitty graphics. I think, right, Frank?
Yeah, I don't think they're doing the new models and whatnot. Hello?
Yeah.
That's not for Pedro.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Are you not looking at us?
I was checking Discord.
Yeah, fucker. No. So I was like cutting my throat, like fuck that.
Yeah, like
I don't want to see like I don't like when people are like, oh, but it's like the graphics suck too. Oh wow, no. Yeah. So when I went to go watch it finally, and it looked like shit.
Because of.
But I'm not mad. I'm not here to shit talk the movie.
Right.
But like I went back to go watch it finally, like look, and I was like no, stop, no.
Wait, hang on. If this is the case, are you the only other person in the world who doesn't like Blair Witch Project?
No, I liked it when I saw it.
I'm so disappointed in
I'm
you
sorry.
right now. That looks bad. That has a low production value too.
But I didn't know anything about it when I went in. So like there was no hype.
There's no hype around it.
Yeah, but this was like I saw this years later. People have been talking about it a lot, and the posters make it look like it's going to be produced.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like so, like everything I've seen of it up till now was like, oh, all right. And then I went in going, no. No. This is fucking boring. It was no. So that's why you can't show me like old black and white films. Like, what a classic piece of shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't want to see this. Like, I can't appreciate classics, like because it's boring and slow. Like, I can't even watch old Star.
2018, son.
I know I can't watch old Star Wars anymore. To be honest with you,
really?
Not really. They're so boring and slow. I mean, I can watch like the very first one. When they're just walking in the goddamn desert all the time. It takes forever to get to the parts where I want to watch it. I already know what happens. I'm not enthralled with like, wow, look at this shot.
Right.
That's why I'm so impressed with the new Pokemon game because like it's like the old Pokemon game, but it looks good. And they speed up a lot of shit I don't care about anymore.
I mean that makes sense.
Like I don't have to beat up a Pokemon to catch it anymore. Let's just throw the Pokeball. Like I got shit to do. It's a lot more fun. But yeah, so I tried to watch it.
That's fair. So my other questions about the 6th floor. So like the Chrono Elemental mentioned that Torment was here. And then they asked about it immediately after that, and then it just never came up again. They're like, don't care about this anymore.
There is like, okay, here's the inside scoop on this. It was unfortunate. He was trying to send them into the future.
Okay.
He's like, Torment is here. Banish. Successful save. Fuck.
Yeah. Okay. So that.
And then they were like, you've got to help us stop Torment. He's here. And he's like, guys, just finish the tower.
Just get through it.
Yeah.
Just get through here.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that, Frank?
I thought it was kind of funny. And he was just trying to sound threatening. I'll tell you the line that killed me though from the Chrono Elemental.
Yeah.
My favorite line. It was like that. It was the Drake clap gif.
Which one? The
where he's like,
oh,
that one. It's when Roberto gets thrown into the future, and the Chrono Elemental's there to throw hands, and he's like, Roberto's like, can you just help us? We're the World Walkers. And just like the Chrono Elemental's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? You're in the tower.
I liked Jane's rebuttal to that, which was, we're not here to prove we're heroes. And also combined with like Last World Talkers, where she's like, we're not here to be heroes. This is a set of stairs. This is an elevator for us. I really liked that. Obviously, she kept that thought about the tower. And
that was funny. I don't know. I shouldn't say it.
What?
If I enter a tower specifically that says here you will prove you're the ultimate ninja warrior and I can't do acrobatics, I'm not going to get pissed at the tower. I'm just not going to go to the tower. This is why I don't walk to work when I have a car. Like, they wanted to go the fast way and like prove you're heroes, and they've just complained the entire time that they don't want to prove themselves are heroes, even though they're in the Hero Quest gauntlet. Like, it's like a firefighter going like, I don't like getting sweaty. So when the Chrono Elemental's like, come on, dude, I was just like, put the work in, baby.
Oh my God.
Frank, you are a master of the analogy.
Thank you. And I sympathize with Roberto and all them. Don't get me wrong. I understand, but they found a way to skip the tower, and then they chose to go in the tower.
Right.
Like they should have tried going up the cliff again.
Yeah, I mean, Tin made it. Just put her in the bag.
They did technically succeed at skipping the tower. It was just coming back down.
Yeah.
Where the problem slide.
Yeah, exactly.
So back on task.
Yeah, sorry.
Callie says, "Oh, Frank's analogies never disappoint."
I believe it. So in that, again, episode 33, which is Time After Time, were you intentionally not mentioning Tompkins, or is this like?
Yeah, intentionally. Like I said, like there's a point where I mentioned, like, there'll come a time after this where you'll think about the fact that Chronomental never targets Tompkins.
Right. That was the other. Well, it was a two-part. So, like, first, you didn't even mention Tompkins in that episode at all until Brummel Stone said something, and then you were like, "Oh yeah, he's just hiding behind you." Can I speculate on why the Chrono Elemental didn't attack Tompkins? Is it because he's a man out of time? Because like Tompkins reached the end of his life,
that would
and
be
then Patch was like, "You're forever young. Live your life, son."
Yeah, that's a fair guess. I can go. I don't mind answering this one a little bit more too. Is that up until this point, I think it's fair to say that everything else in this tower has not had the intellect that the Chronomental had.
Mm-hmm.
The Chronomental was seems to have more awareness of the tower.
Yeah, he knows the purpose of the tower and probably also the builder of the tower,
right?
Tompkins.
Right. Yeah. So the Chronomental's like not even trying to play with this. The Chronomental is time. Is time energy itself. Tompkins knows what it is. It looks like they're both just like, go, do work, son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I didn't even declare his actions. I didn't want to draw any attention to him. I didn't want to. Basically, like, Tompkins didn't want to draw any attention to himself. The Chronomental didn't want to draw any attention to the architect.
Right.
Like, and so, like, in a meta sense, I didn't want the World Walkers to go, come on, Tompkins, and have that whole battle. So, like, I very intentionally just kind of, like, in a Rolana's sense, took him out of the narrative to allow the World Walkers to focus on the battle.
Well, it also kind of seems like, as far as the tower's concerned, they're both part of the game, not like the D&D game, but like the game of the tower.
Yep.
So it would make sense that it's like, oh, I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
Someone called it a saw tower on.
Yeah. Eric. Yeah.
One of the saw beasts or whatever. I've never seen those movies. One of the saw traps isn't gonna attack Jigsaw.
Right. And as they've progressed through the tower, as they get through a world, Tompkins seems to remember more and more. As they've gotten to the tower, Tompkins seems to remember more and more. He's like on the first floor. He's like, I didn't build any of this.
Oh, I thought I was giving too much credit to Tompkins. I thought he was intentionally doing it.
Yeah, whether he remembers or not, on the first floor, he's declaring, I don't know anything. By the fifth floor, he's like, Mirrorwood. By the sixth floor, he's like, this is going to be rough.
Right.
Once they go in, he's not even being mentioned anymore. Like, yeah, so... But also, yeah, there's that element of time and like...
That just further proves I don't think that last door was a slip. This might be the last floor.
That I'm declaring it out loud. That was a slip. Like yeah.
Sorry, my notes. I ran out of room on the page, so I had to start writing in the margins on this one, and I didn't add it to the Google Doc because they're all like half formed, like they're not full sentences or full thoughts. One of the questions I have on here was, will Roberto ever get his body back?
I have an answer for that.
You do have an answer for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it listen to the episodes and find out?
Well, I can't give you the answer, but I have an answer for that.
So the answer is...
and he needs his body back, man. I need him. I need to be whole.
I guess my question is more like,
I feel really bad for him.
You know what, Pedro? You just sit back and Frank and I will discuss the possibilities.
Sure. I can tell you. Actually, can I throw something out at you?
Yeah.
Someone in Discord, Eric, is super excited about this because, like, I think it was, I don't know if it was months or even further long ago. Eric had like broken this down and was like, man, I think he had like declared and I might be going too far, but bear with me. I think he had declared the possible ineffectiveness of Roberto long ago and was like, I want to suggest like a whole rebuild of Roberto. Like, you should be a paladin, and it kind of mapped out what he should be and sent it to Enzo. And then like when he caught up on the podcast and found that his body had been destroyed, he's like, possibilities are here, my friend.
I think
finally.
I think Enzo had mentioned that like in the World Walkers outtakes. Like,
yeah, it had come up again. He was like, yeah.
Well, I had assumed that was the first time that Eric had brought it.
That was way back when. Yeah, he was like,
he brought it up before he knew that Enzo didn't have a body.
Yeah,
and then Enzo's
he did. Yeah, he
he
mentioned it before. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, way back when he had pitched it to him. So like when just like within the span of like a week or two, like he had caught up to the podcast and was like, oh my God,
this is happening.
He was like primed and ready. Like, but yeah, you guys talk. I will leave you to it since I can't say anything.
I was just curious. So like, one of the things I wondered about was like, which kind of with you saying that, it kind of makes me think that it's definitely going to be a new body, because like his old body's in the astral plane, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it's like either you go on an adventure to the astral plane, bad idea, or you get a new body and new Roberto.
Yeah, just make a pit stop in No Brimos. New Berto. Yeah, just make a pit stop in No Brimos after they
Wait, I got it. Robort 2.
Yes. The rebuild of Roberto. You cannot advance or something like that.
Yeah.
You are not
alone. You cannot rebuild.
Yes.
So you don't have to answer this with like future knowledge, but just, do you have a plan for how to handle character death? Because the end of this episode is very like, Tin's dying, Brummel Stone was dying but just got back up. Vasa's like, here, Tompkins, take this crystal, I'm gonna go die. BRB, gotta die now.
Yeah, everyone's ready to die, it feels like.
Yeah, so I'm not asking whether or not they do, just like if you have a plan for if they do. Or if you did have a plan at that time. Is that a better way to phrase it?
Let me think. I guess technically, no, I don't have a plan because I feel like it's more authentic that way. Because I feel like if I think about what will happen if they die, then I think, Fringy, you know this, right? Like,
what?
If I don't plan on character death, because if I plan for character death, then I plan the other way too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't try to think that way, because then I'll start going down all sorts of roads. Like I plan on my end. Like I try to plan. I don't know how to explain it exactly. I don't think about character death. That's not my problem. That's their problem.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And I think, let me peek into the patron questions, because I think, isn't there like a question that kind of like pulls into that a little bit?
Oh, I think there is. Sorry, whoever asked that.
No. We'll jump down to that real quick, because I'm almost positive that was a question.
The Underfold.
Yeah, what happens if they fail? Do we lose all the other properties? Does Patch come out of nowhere and bring forth new heroes? Yeah, so I think if we go around that idea, so yeah, Brian from the Underfold asked that. What happens if they fail? Basically, Frankie knows this pretty well, I think, right?
Maybe.
Same thing that happens with other games I've run. If they fail, everything shuts down.
Oh, yes, that.
Yeah. So I used to run campaign busters. People would come home for the summer from college and stuff, and I would run these big okay, so this world's on the line, and if you can't save it, then the world dies. And sometimes they would win, sometimes they would lose. So I've lost worlds before.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, there's this group of villains called the Chronos, and they they played one year where the Chronos were trying to deconstruct time and destroy a world, and they lost that year. So that world's gone.
Don't even remember it.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't. It never existed.
I mean, like legitimately, I don't remember what world we were on.
Yeah, I know. Remember that we played at Nathan's house, and there's the Tarask, and you guys remember?
No, that
was at Nathan's house.
Tarask?
Yeah, remember you guys? There was the point where you had to keep changing. You had to keep figuring out what creature to turn this creature into, to find something that would change into before, so it would live long enough.
Yeah,
and you guys changed it into a Tarask, so it wouldn't die.
Yeah.
And you'd have just enough time to figure out what to do with it. And then it destroyed the world.
Just enough time.
Yeah, it was. You guys turned it into a Tarask, and it destroyed the world.
Well, you know what? I think the Chronos didn't destroy that world.
Well, the Tarask did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You guys, dodged the bullet. The Tarask didn't destroy. Or the Chronos didn't destroy the world. Mission accomplished. The Tarask destroyed the world, and then went back into slumber, and the Chronos came back and destroyed the world.
Yeah. God damn it.
Yeah. Mission accomplished. Phelan.
That
world's gone.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah. So I have been. Yeah, I've put world in line before.
But this is all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what Pedro likes to do. He likes to increase the stakes so much that he sets himself up for failure.
No, we did the Chronos campaign again.
That'd be funny.
We did the Chronos campaign again. We put all the worlds on the line.
Hell yeah, we did.
Yeah, but we put all of them, even the D&D campaigns. We put Ravenloft, Dark Sun, all of them.
Yeah, that was bad news.
Yeah, and they won that time, luckily.
Barely.
And so, yeah, that's the idea. Depending on how bad they fail, that's it. And just shut down World Walkers, and I'll find something else to do.
Done GMing or DMing.
Potentially,
all my worlds are dead.
Yeah, I would just go do something else in my life. It'd suck.
Might I suggest a different game?
Yeah, I would just switch genre.
New worlds.
I wouldn't be able to play World Walkers universe anymore. I'd have to shut that down. I would move to like horror or because I'm that hardcore that like I wouldn't make like another fantasy world depending on how bad they fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like it all depends on how bad they fuck up. But yeah, there is a scenario where they fuck up so hard that they wipe out World Walker's cog and all other contingencies and everything else.
Better not.
It's something like because there's been a number of times where I've gone to bed and my wife has had to ask me like, do we still have a business? And I've been like, yeah, I got really close this time. And she's like, Jesus fucking Christ, you need to stop this. And she's gotten really mad at me. And be like, why don't you just put them in like an alternate universe, something like that? And I'm like, well, because that's bullshit. Like, there's nothing that can stop. Like, it doesn't work that way, baby. She's like,
so,
you write it. You can do whatever you want. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Like,
so under the consideration that that's not the right word. Under the assumption that, you know, if they fail, that's it. So does that mean that like it's these, how many are there? 5? Right?
What?
6 people. I was trying to count really fast. It failed. There are these however many people who are able to save the world, and only these people. So like, there's not a possible like backup team. Like, I'm not saying if they fail, like if they hand over the shards to the nightmares, like they already have. I'm just saying, like, if they die in this tower right now, if all of them die besides Tompkins, who's kind of the linchpin, is Patch going to be like, all right, so here's 5 more people, Tompkins, for you to lead to the shards of Stardust?
In this particular scenario, if they were to wipe in this exact moment, and I don't want to be too crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where the cards are right now. They have sent Patch out into the multiverse to go find a shard.
And the nightmares know that he's out there now.
Right.
He was doing a covert ops mission.
He was doing it covert ops. They have revealed that Patch is out there.
Right.
So there might have been a contingency plan.
But now there's not, because he's probably going to die. Good job.
That's the problem. Could there have been a contingency plan? Could there be one if they, again, in this exact moment in Ozen Tower, floor 6, it seems like there's no contingency plan because as far as anyone knows, Patch is out there somewhere in the multiverse and they've got no contingency plan. There is no one, as far as anyone can tell, there's no one to replace them if they were to wipe on floor 6 of Ozen Tower.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, if they were to have wiped pre...
Patch going out in the world.
Right. If Patch returns and they wipe, those are different stories.
Okay.
You know.
So that, well, my follow-up to that was also like, so if just one character dies, because like right now, if one character dies, like Patch would be the one to choose someone else and be like, here's your replacement.
Well, but there is, at this specific moment, if one of them were to die,
they get
one or more, then it would be up to, like, that's the problem is that, like, if one of them were to die, right, one or more, they can replace them like any other D&D group.
Right, and that's what I was asking.
Except for the fact that if they don't replace them with a lucid dreamer and they run into nightmares, that creates a complication. So they would have to be on the hunt for lucid dreamers if they want them to survive their first nightmare encounter. There's complications.
I think you can throw this out to the group. If one of them dies, I think they should play Claiborne. Bring her back.
That would be pretty sweet.
Because she's a badass.
She's a badass, yeah.
And also, whoever it was would get to hit on Brummel Stone, and I really hope that it's Enzo who's playing Claiborne.
I know that Olivia has made the joke, I think, in the podcast several times, that if she were to ever die, she would want to come back as Bradley.
Oh, yeah.
She'd want a plot twist that Bradley was a lucid dreamer the whole time. Hey, Combination 77 is here, and he says he wants to know, does it have to be a forged body, or can it be a stone golem body or something like that? In order for, in theory, unless there's some kind of, like, secret that someone's got up their sleeve, as far as, like, the way that Roberto was created was through like a ritual on Obrimos that allowed the elemental stone to be placed into a specific body. So you wouldn't be able to just grab like some old body and throw it in there. You'd have to really like pull something off.
Just find a corpse.
Find a corpse and be like, boom, it's a
Yeah,
zombie.
yeah. Throw the stone in the mouth of a corpse and be like, "Here you go, Roberto.
Yeah.
Here's your new body."
Yeah. So what I want to do is, since it's starting to get late, I want to knock out the rest of the Patreon questions. And then if we all have time, maybe try to move on into the World Walkers Cog. If we all want to stick around for a little bit and try and fill that out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So over on the Patreon question side, Johnny asks, I haven't looked at these yet, who will Vaza marry in the end? Tompkins or Patch? JP.
That's all one person. I think JP.
Oh,
I don't
that's
remember
right.
this.
No.
JP was something they called.
That's right. JP was Patch when he was just Patch, I think, right? When he had lost, like when he had kind of just fell down into just regular old just Patch. When he talked like this, and he didn't really have like the full Dream King status, and he was just a regular adventurer again.
I had seen this question on Patreon, and whenever you asked me, what's the plan for World Talkers? I really wanted to be like, we're just gonna come up with ship names. So just come up with ships and ship names.
Why? No, last time they came up with Tomkins, didn't they? Tomkins or
something like that.
Yeah.
Tasha,
I heard too.
I'm shipping that hard. Like it's not making any secrets.
Well, I had said I'm shipping Vasa Stone.
Vasa Stone, that's right. Yeah. Well, they're the mom and dad.
Yeah. So it makes sense.
Yep. Data Wall asks, have the players started talking strategy outside a game yet?
I had that same question written down. I'm like, yes, Data Wall, you got my back. So have they, Pedro?
Hello?
Eric the Turtle asks, how many more levels to the Saw Tower? Well, according to Shannon, this is the last floor. So, I mean, we got that one knocked out right away. No.
Yeah, he was the one who, that's why I called it the Saw Tower, because I had seen his comment. I couldn't remember who it was, though.
No, every floor is the last floor in the World Walker's hearts. No, I wish I could answer that question. But we'll see.
He has another good question coming up.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And then I think we knocked this one out already for Brian from the Underfold. What happens if they fail? It really, like I said, it really depends on how bad they fail, what kind of failure we're talking about. Like, if failure means do they wipe, hopefully they wipe in a way that allows them to make new characters and continue their journey in some way. If they wipe by losing all the shards, that's it. You know? If they wipe in a way where they, like if they lose the shards they have, all one of them, in theory, the journey could still continue. If they wipe by losing Tompkins, that's a whole different kind of conversation, because then they have to start this journey with no leads.
Yeah, I think you had said at some point, so like I had said, I'm listening to the new episodes. I don't remember if this was a Twitter conversation or I don't remember where this information come from, but I remember you had said at some point, like if they had not picked up Tompkins in the very beginning, like they still could have done it. They still could have done the adventure. It just would have been a lot harder.
It's just a sandbox game.
Yeah, you just have to pick and choose.
Yeah, they roam around, they explore the world. It's a sandbox game. The sense of urgency is gone in a sense.
Or it's worse.
Well, yeah, like so maybe like they don't ever stumble across the nightmares in a certain way. They would see this. Yeah, it'd be a whole different game. If they fail by giving up all the like at that, if they fail in the worst way possible, then yeah, I rebuild everything. Like, yeah, we'll move on from that thought.
I got plenty of games to suggest for you.
Yeah.
Hunter.
We can
Hunter?
talk genres and systems.
Yeah, we'll shop talk.
Yeah.
No, data wall. Does the cog group get a promotion? Oh, I follow up question. Does they get a promotion? I guess that'd be interesting if they failed hard enough. Would the group even continue playing? Would I start a whole new universe? I don't know. Like define universe. Like, would I start a whole new fantasy universe? Probably. I think in my heart of hearts, I don't think I would. I wouldn't want to rebuild all of this. Like, I've said what I was going to say in this genre, and this, like, I wouldn't take another stab at it, I don't think.
Ooh, Callie brought up something that I had actually wondered too. Would it be a nightmare verse? So like the same worlds, just it's the survivors of the nightmares.
Yeah, if they fail in a way where I can keep running it, but everything's shit, yeah, I would run that. Yeah, because I mean, Pasmos is what happens if the group fails, but I can keep playing. That's a world where they failed hard, but there's still enough to run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a version of the game still. Yeah, as long as there's something left to run, I would run it. Yeah, if they fail in such a hard way that everything's gone, I think that's kind of the thing, right? Of the different concepts that are out there, that's, and I won't lie, like, that was what was appealing about running the storyline with Torment. Torment's not trying to destroy everything. It's trying to torture everything.
That makes sense.
I get to keep playing in a lot of scenarios. I don't know if anyone wants to play in those games, but
sorry, Frank. Sorry, Callie.
Yeah, I could see a scenario where the World Walkers quit after a while. And in that case, Data's right. Maybe the cog group would get a promotion. But I remember, like, when we played in the Hunters games, we got to a point where, like, the group asked for a vacay. Remember that, Frank?
Yeah.
Like, the game got so intense, they were like, "Can we just take a break for a while? This is too hard. Like, it's too
intense.
Too intense." And I was like, "Oh, sure. Oops.
My bad."
Yeah, cool. So, like, they asked for a couple weeks off because, like, the game was getting too intense. It was Nathan, actually.
Yeah.
Nathan was the one that stepped forward and said, like, this game is, like, emotionally intense, and I still want to play, but I just need a break. And I was like, "Oh, fuck, I'm sorry." He's like, I can't take it anymore. I was like, "Oh," so we took a few weeks off and then we got back to playing. What's been your favorite genre? Like, do you like the D&D genre the best for me, Frankie, or do you wish we were playing horror sometimes?
Sometimes I wish we were playing horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love World of Darkness. Been rereading Mage of the Ascension's final book again because I had to use it to flatten out a poster, and I was like, I'm gonna take a crack at this again. Woo! And I forgot how much
Michael Jackson on it.
Yeah, every gosh dang word of the old World of Darkness books just flavors my coffee.
Flavors my coffee.
Yeah, so I miss you doing horror. I miss it. Not when, like, you would break mom's leg.
Callie says horror was fun. Not gonna lie, I don't like horror movies, but the one horror game I played from you was fun. Thanks.
I got to say my favorite line also.
What?
In a horror game ever, in any D&D game or any tabletop game.
What?
Give me 2 good reasons why I shouldn't shank this motherfucker's Cocoa Puffs off.
That's right. Eric, the Irk Turtle asks, "Why do I hurt?" I like that you put it in there.
Yeah, I laughed so hard when I read that.
Self-care is important, and if you don't take time for it, nobody else will.
That's an excellent. That's an excellent answer.
And I know that sounds funny, but I really do mean that truly and honestly. Nobody else will do it for you. I don't know how serious that question was, but like, it's true. No one else will do it. Like a lot of times, that you will try to fish from your friends and family, and you'll say something, and you'll be like, "Hey, this is going on with me," and they'll be like, "Oh, right on, man," and you're like, "Oh, wow, you're an asshole. I'm fucking reaching."
Yeah.
No one has time. No one has time, or they either don't have the sympathy or the time, or both. A dangerous mix of the two.
Yeah, or no, like my big thing, both with like reaching out and also being reached to, it's like, what do I do? How do I help you? Or how do you help?
Or
like,
they don't know.
How do you help me? Like, I don't know.
Or they're not equipped for it, or they got their own pain, or they want to help, or they don't know if you're being serious. There's it's just, there's no reason to sell yourself up for more pain. If you're in pain, don't sell yourself up for more pain. Like if you've got a knife wound, don't start juggling knives.
Probably don't start juggling knives.
No,
anyway.
I'm saying like if you're hurt, don't put yourself in a position to get hurt. Like,
I know.
Yeah, No, I know. But like, if you're hurt, don't walk into traffic to the hospital. Call an ambulance. Like, you know what I mean? Don't put yourself in a position. Like, yeah, I don't know how serious that question was, but I just know as someone who's going through a lot, just take care of yourself.
Do what you can.
Yep. Because I love all of you guys. Like, you guys help me so much. Like, the World Walkers is my way of coping with a lot of the crazy stuff that happens in my life. Like, if I didn't have this to work on, like, I wouldn't have something creative to pour myself into, you know? So, like, you guys let me take care of myself by putting myself into something. So, if you guys let me take care of myself by pouring a lot of my heart into something that I love, you guys have to take care of yourselves for me by taking a moment to do right by yourselves. So I don't know how serious that question was, but
so Eric the Erk Turtle, take care of yourself for Pedro.
Yep. Everyone's got to do right by yourselves, that we're all taking care of each other. Johnny says, how in the world have the players survived this long? A combination of luck, watching out for each other. They're actually like, they are such good role players that they pull themselves out of the fire when their mechanical skills aren't there. Like, they don't have the min-max skills, but like they have the in-game social skills to pull themselves out, like when they're like, my hip, and crazy shit like that.
I think actually, because they don't have that for this particular encounter with the Chrono Elemental, I feel like this has been the hardest fight for them. Like, I don't know, like the CR of the challenge rating of the Chrono Elemental, or like the challenge rating of anything that they've fought before, but it's like, just because there's no other way around it besides fighting it.
That's why Ozen Tower has been so tough. And to be up front, the challenge ratings are gone. Like,
right.
the challenge ratings are broken in half now. Like, they've gotten to the point in the tower where like the challenge ratings are thrown out the window when they start going, like when time travel got introduced and they start pulling in new enemies. Like, I was like, well,
right. I don't even necessarily mean.
No,
the,
I
like,
know. I was trying to be funny.
Yeah. But like the there's still like. Your monsters still have HPs.
No,
and
I know.
Outputs and damage inputs.
Yeah.
But they still technically have a challenge rating.
No, I know. I was like, like once they started fucking with time, I was like, fuck.
Everything's up in the air.
Yeah. Do the players read the campaign guide? No. They don't typically have. Well, this thing, they don't keep their. Most of them don't keep the books by them. They don't, as you can tell by the most recent episode, they don't usually write their abilities down. That all changes when I move them to D&D Beyond in a upcoming episode. So, yeah, with D&D Beyond, they've got everything on their character sheets. So, yeah.
Is that because it's managed by? I don't use D&D Beyond, so I don't know how it works. Is that because it's managed by you, or because it's all like autofill?
Both. And actually, at the end of this, I'm going to show you guys Sabin's character sheet, so you guys can see how it works. Yeah. So, yeah, it is 10:09. Do we want to try and talk about World Walkers Cog, or save that for a whole nother World Talkers next time?
I'm fine with either way. I don't have the commitment that I had, well, a month ago now.
Yep.
Afterwards, so I can stay if you want to stay, or
Frank?
we can get off.
You want to come back for another one?
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry, that was a happy sigh. Like,
no, it's all good. Yeah, but we'll probably bring the group back and we'll do like a bigger one then.
Yeah.
All right. So
Because we got all this lore to dig into.
There's a lot to dig into. So we're gonna end the. If anyone has any questions, start dumping them in. But yeah, let's dig into Sabin's character sheet as a final treat.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna turn off the overlay.
Wait, do I have to go to?
No.
the YouTube
You don't
page?
have to change anything. No, it's all on my side.
Oh, you're gonna full screen it or whatever?
Yep.
Image share, yeah.
All right. So you guys are gonna see my desktop for a second, and then you're gonna.
Oh yeah, with that sad robot.
Yeah. That sad robot makes me very happy. I'll give you guys a description. Here's why I love this sad robot. I'm gonna show you guys this. This sad robot on my screen. I know you guys can't. Well, yeah, I can screen share it real quick.
I switched over to the YouTube page so I could see your screen that you're sharing.
I'm gonna screen share it real fast, so you'll be able to see it in a second. Anyway. Screen share.
Oh.
All right. So now we're screen sharing. You should be able to see it. This is my desktop. This desktop makes me laugh every time because I love the idea that somehow this sad little robot was able to plug himself in and he finds himself in a conundrum. Because now what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like he plugs himself in and goes, fuck.
I have a different theory myself.
What?
He's gonna unplug it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frankie thinks he's going to unplug it, and I feel like he plugs himself in and goes, now what? What's he going to do, walk away?
He's unplugging it. He's done.
No.
It's like, I'm over this world of only getting to move 3 inches unplugged.
I feel like he plugged himself in, and he's having his first and last bright idea.
I mean, that's fair.
All right. So, we are going to show off. I'm not advertising D&D Beyond per se, but I guess that's what's going to come off as. But this is also just a way to show off. Ooh. We're going to have to stop sharing for a second because I can't show you everything.
Secrets.
Fuck.
I'm gonna give all your secrets away. Last time.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I got to take this off the screen. I almost showed you guys a whole bunch of fucking spoilers.
That's what we're here for.
No.
World Talkers. Talk about how great Tompkins is and learn spoilers.
In this house, we respect Tompkins.
In this house, we respect Tompkins. We give Haversack all the corn dogs he can ever want.
All right.
Absolutely.
So you guys see my screen again?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here is, I think everyone's seen it for the first time, Sabin's character sheet.
Big juice.
All right. Tell me if everyone in chat can see this pretty well. Frankie's very pleased with this because he chose for his character profile Sean Puffy Combs, as played by Dave Chappelle, drinking Cambodian breast milk, as seen in the Dave Chappelle show.
I mean, I feel like that's pretty fitting for Big Juice.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to wait for confirmation from the chat that they can all see this pretty well. But
did his gun's name change again?
Oh yeah, I guess that's a slight spoiler. Yeah, he eventually will rename it Whitey Ford.
Because he got Whitesnake and Fleetwood Mac mixed up and disowned from the family.
Yeah, he names it Whitey Ford. He's like, because he gotta make bitches sing the blues. All right. So yeah, Callie says she can see it. That's good enough for me. So yeah, this is Frankie's character sheet. This is Big Juice. Big Juice is a halfling gunslinger. And yeah, you guys can take a look here. Plus 10 in acrobat. So first off, stats 12, 19, 16, 13, 15, 17 across the board.
I rolled them good.
59 hit points. You can see a plus 9 initiative that comes from his feet, which is it in here? Where are your feet? Alert. Plus 5 bonus to initiative. You can't be surprised while you're conscious, and other creatures don't gain advantage on attack rolls against you as a result of being unseen by you. So that's pretty sweet. Oh yeah, plus 9 initiative should never really be middle or last.
It happens though.
Even Callie's surprised by his stats. Proficient in Dex and Initiative, so plus 7.
Wait,
for saving throws.
I feel like
in intelligence.
That's what. Yeah.
What? That's weird.
You don't know that?
you never knew.
Of course I knew.
Of course I knew.
I thought it was charisma. Oops.
You have a passive.
Oh, I actually thought rogues were Dex and charisma.
No, I'm sure I'm sure that D&D is correct.
I'm also
forgot. I was like, huh.
Yeah, I don't know. We can look this up, man.
No, we don't. We're good.
Yeah. Character builder. Oh no. Okay.
I could just pull out my PHP real quick too.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you're free to look it up, but
yeah, no, I believe you. I'm just like, oh God, what?
Yeah.
D&D, mine's more D&D. Why would you do this? Rogues are obviously gonna have a high Dex and charisma. Why wouldn't you make it charisma?
No, bards rock charisma, paladins rock charisma, but rogues are intelligent and dexterous. Like,
I have not been role playing that. No.
But yeah, he has a passive perception of 18.
Dang.
Yep. So really hard to sneak up on him. Armor class of 15, and when you click on it, you get to know why. That's really helpful in this game.
Oh yeah.
Really helpful in this sheet, you know. You can click here for heal. You can click here for damage. It's like you can type in like 40 damage. Really really badass calculator.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
30 heal. Did you know that, Frank?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's pretty
40.
Cool. Actually, I didn't know that. Never mind.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. You can
Was it? Yes. I was like, of course I knew that. No, I didn't.
30.
I don't use this.
temporary hit points.
Oh yeah.
And then if you typed in 20 damage, it would come off your temporary first.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty legit.
this D&D Beyond took a long time to get good, but it's finally good. Conditions. You can be like, I'm frightened.
Nice.
Yeah. List it there.
And then does it tell you what that means?
I think it does. Right there. Click on that arrow and it'll tell you, boom, that's what it means.
Can I move this? Our video was in the way and I couldn't see it.
Oh, sorry.
So I had to move it to the other side of my screen.
Yeah. So, yeah. Defenses, you can customize it and add stuff here. But here's where it gets really good. All right. So in our game, I have a custom rule. On your turn, you have to know what you're going to do. If you don't know what you're going to do, you don't lose your turn, but we'll come back to you. Mm-hmm. Right? And when you're ready, tell us when you're ready. Right? So if I say, Sabin, it's your turn, he goes, fuck. But do you know what you want to do? All right, cool. You know what? We'll come back to you. Nathan? And then in the podcast, I'll edit it out. Mm-hmm. And then we'll just come back to him, right? So during someone else's turn, you can just click here and wind it down to figure out what you want to do. Like, okay, look. What are my attacks? And it eliminates everything but your attacks. What are my actions? Like, what are the things that cost me an action? Click on it, and it gets rid of everything but your actions. What are my bonus actions? Gets rid of everything but your bonus actions. What are my reactions? So a lot of times when we're playing the game, you can notice either, like with the World Walkers, right? You'll hear someone, and they don't know what else they can do. Mm-hmm. So I tell them, like with D&D Beyond, like, there's no excuse now.
Yeah, I think they also have had problems knowing like they know that they can do this thing, but they don't know if it's an action, bonus action, or reaction.
And once they start using D&D Beyond, it becomes a lot smoother. Because admittedly, no matter what system you're using, it's hard to know what classifies where and how and all that shit. So boom, boom, boom. It just automatically winds it down for you. So and it bolds it right here. Like, how many D6 do I have on a sneak attack? Right fucking there.
For COG, are you guys playing? You guys are playing in person, aren't you?
Yep. Mm-hmm. But they all have laptops with them.
Okay.
Yep. So, except, Nathan doesn't.
Yeah, I don't bring my laptop either.
I'm actually out of character slots. There's too many. D&D Beyond only gives you 12 character slots. Mm-hmm. So the Rolanus group has character slots. The World Walkers have character slots, and then Callie and Reggie have character slots. So Frankie and Nathan don't have character slots. So I recreated their characters here, so I can show these off next week to people.
Nice.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm the worst. I'm definitely like, I need a paper character sheet in front of my face, or else I can't.
Well, what's nice, if you really wanted to, you can print this off if you had to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can export the sheet. So, but I really like this. You can click short rest and it'll reset your stats. Long rest, reset your stats.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's been pretty. What does Intimidate do? Boom. I hate Intimidate as a skill, by the way. I wish they'd remove it, but.
Why is that?
Because it infers that you can end combats. And I don't know any DM that likes it.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it because, like, a player feels like they should be able to take out any NPC or creature with it, and it makes for me awkward situations. Because I've had a number of players who are like, I got a 23 on my intimidation. Does the NPC leave us alone? Fuck. No. But
I don't know if this is just like an unwritten rule with our group, but it seems like we only will let it into combat if there's only like one person left, and it's like you killed everyone, there's one person left, and you're intimidating that single person. Otherwise,
yeah, I have a number of players who don't understand why that doesn't. I got a higher score. Why doesn't that? Then what's the point of it?
Right.
Yeah. Which is
legit. Out of combat is the point of it.
Yeah. Well, they'll do it before combat. They'll be like, boom, he doesn't fight us, right? He still does. I hate this skill. Yeah. So I think this system's really awesome, and you can get a dice roller app that that connects with it.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it'll pull all the stats off of here if you use Chrome. And then this, you click on it. If you click on one of your abilities, it'll tell you how it got there and all the stuff, all the skills that are attached to it and what they do.
It's pretty cool.
So, you have inspiration. Click. All your features, all your equipment. Yeah. Yeah. So for those wondering what Sabin's character sheet looks like, that is Sabin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take the sheet and release it later on, like next week, probably on Monday. People can see a little better, but yeah, this is Sabin.
He's tight.
Not too tight.
Under equipment, did he have jiggles? Did you take that off?
I didn't think about putting it on there because Peter already took my heart away from me.
I think you should do a side episode that is Jiggles day off, so we find out where Jiggles is, what's going on with Jiggles.
I told Peter that Lexter has blood on his hands, not only for the forge stuff, but for not wanting to pick up Jiggles. Like he's not doing anything. No one needs books.
Yeah, I will get the group together, and we'll have a World Walkers Cog focused episode next time.
Hell yeah!
And we're moving to Twitch. So yeah, a couple cool announcements. World Walkers World Talkers will now be on Twitch from now on, and we'll be talking about public episodes for now because I want to get more of the community together.
Nice.
So I'm really excited about that. The second thing is that World Walkers Relanus is what we do 3 games actually. So we do World Walkers Cog. Those are both podcasts, but we also do World Walkers Relanus, which for a long time has been just like a kind of a Patreon exclusive. Like the intention has always been to release the games publicly, but I haven't really had time to put them all on. Like they're sitting on YouTube, but I always tell myself I'm going to kind of clean them up and this. Kidding myself. I'm not going to have time to really touch them up the way I want to. So I'm just going to put them all together, put them in a playlist, and put them out there. And anyone that wants to catch up on the game can do so because the game story has been really fun so far. And with that, we're moving to Twitch as well because we want to share the game, but also Twitch just released an overlay for D&D Beyond. So now when you watch us on Twitch, you'll be able to see the characters' character sheets and live updates on their hit points and stuff and be able to track their characters. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so you'll be able to track all that. Yeah, and it has Paddington. So anyone who remembers Paddington from the Relanus...
Oh, so he's not in Forest Hell.
No, they actually, the Relanus group went in there and rescued him and pulled him out. He's been traveling with them ever since.
Good job, Relanus group.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. We're killing it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Frankie's in that group too. So if you like Frank, You can follow his exploits over there too. He's playing a summoner named Valerie. Yep. So
Everyone keeps saying I'm a giant.
yeah, he's playing like this 15-foot tall lady.
No, she's like 7'8", I think.
She gets taller and taller every time he declares how tall she is. She's like 5'8" originally. Now she's like a house. She's a brick house. Yeah, there was these frost giants stalking them in the last game, and they looked over and they're like, "Frank, can you speak giant?" And the whole group was like, the whole group laughed, but they were also like, "But do you?" And he had to check his sheet. He's like, "I don't know. I don't think I do." That's a legit question. So we're gonna move over there, and yeah, it's gonna feature the D&D Beyond overlay. We're really excited about it. So yeah, I think that's it though. So if we don't have any other questions, we're gonna wrap it up here. Frankie, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Always
And,
a pleasure.
Yeah, next episode we will have as many of the World Walkers Call group as possible, and we'll do a deep dive on the revelations that were exposed with the Forged, the Gunslingers, and whatever else happens in between now and then on World Walkers Cog.
I'm still mad they don't well, it all makes sense. No, man, this is what I knew about the Gunslingers.
Everything changed.
Everything changed.
All right, we'll get into it next time. Wait, what's up?
Oh, I was gonna comment on that, and I'm like, I'll save it for next time.
Yeah.
I'll save my thoughts too.
All right. So, yeah,
All
thanks
right.
for joining us. Thanks again, everyone coming out to see us. I'm Pedro.
I'm Frank.
I'm Shannon.
And we will see you all next time. Thanks.
Later on, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.